Hey everyone, in this video I will examine the popular beliefs about Generation Z and I will refer to the latest academic research in this field to understand whether this research proves or disproves these beliefs to be truth or myths. There are lots of speculations about this topic, including here on YouTube, but we as educators need to look at the firm academic resources in order to understand the topic. Let's go! Hey everyone, it's Ilner, and on my channel we discuss things related to education. So if you are new here, consider subscribing to my channel. Let's dive into our topic. Let's start with the quick outline of the concept of Generation Z itself. Generation Z is a demographic cohort who are believed to have come after the Millennials and who are preceding the Generation Alpha. There is no common consensus about the exact age range of the Generation Z. They usually say it's the generation that was born somewhere between 1990s and 2010s. As for the term generation, some researchers and popular media claim that people who were born in one generation share some common characteristics. And as I said, there are lots of speculations on these topics. The theory of generations is glorified by some people and massively criticized by others. You might have seen some videos here on YouTube as well concerning this topic. I have looked at some of them, but we need the truth, right? That's why we refer to some solid academic sources for that. Yay! Academic sources, academic sources, academic sources, academic sources, academic sources, academic sources. I'm so happy with it that I'm gonna emphasize this. In this video, we're not speculating on the popular beliefs about Generation Z. We are looking at the robust and firm and fundamental academic sources which either prove or disprove the popular beliefs about this generation. You know, there are some special people, some researchers and scientists whose job is to find out whether something is likely to be true or not. And we are lucky here. We have this research published by the Higher School of Economics, one of the best universities here in Russia in terms of the social science. By the way, I will drop the link to this research in the description to this video so that you could also go and look at this research yourself in details. So what they have done is they have collected all the popular beliefs about Generation Z, then they have identified the sources of these beliefs, and then they have collated these beliefs with the robust and firm academic research in fields like psychology, pedagogy, and sociology. And they have found some interesting results. Stay with me till the end of this video and you will learn 12 key myths about Generation Z and whether they are true or not. Myth number 1. Generation Z is great at multitasking. While in fact the researchers found out that multitasking is common for people of all ages nowadays. Multitasking, or combining multiple tasks, is just our response to the modern environment, and it is common for both teenagers and adults today. Myth number 2. Modern teenagers have big problems with attention span. As we know, attention span is the amount of time spent concentrating on a task before becoming distracted. But researchers argue here that the attention span in teenagers is generally less developed than in adults. Thus, the myth is partially confirmed, but there is nothing to do with Generation Z per se, because it's just the way that we people develop, and it has been like this for ages already. Myth 3. Generation Z has less developed critical thinking. Well, the researchers argue that there is no data confirming that there is a loss of critical thinking by Generation Z. While in fact this statement cannot be verified at all because of the lack of certainty of criteria for critical thinking and methods of measuring it. Myth 4. Modern teenagers are extremely depressed and anxious. Well, this is also not true because the proportion of people with mental disorders nowadays is not typical to only teenagers. In fact, according to the World Health Organization, the number of people with depression or anxiety is increasing in all ages all over the world. Myth 5. They have better understanding of information technologies than adults. Well, I personally also used to believe in this. But interestingly enough, the researchers have found out that the modern teenagers are almost identical to their parents and teachers in terms of acquiring digital skills. Well, literally, there is no research evidence that modern teenagers have higher level of digital literacy or ability to work with information or information technologies. Myth 6. The Generation Z communicates less with their peers. Well, again, there is no reliable data that the modern teenagers communicate less than they used before, It's just that the communication methods have changed. Yes, modern teenagers tend to spend more time in social networks, but it doesn't mean that they communicate less. Myth 7. Generation Z doesn't like staying alone or without their digital devices. Again, the research does not prove that. They say there are no differences of people of different ages in terms of tolerating the loneliness without smartphones. For example, in one of the experiments, the teenagers were asked to sit alone for like 6 to 15 minutes without using their phones. Yes, teenagers did experience some negative emotions, but so did the older participants of the experiments as well. Myth 8. The Generation Z are individualists. As you can understand, again, individualism is the common characteristic of teenagers of all generations, not of Generation Z in particular. So again, we can say that yes, this myth is partially true, but this is true not only for this generation of teenagers. Myth 9. They have an unusually strong desire for success. Well, I'm sorry, but again, the desire for success is a general property of teenagers of all generations. There is nothing special about Generation Z. Myth 10. Generation Z are hedonists. They strive to satisfy their quick desires without assessing the risks. Well, this myth is amazing because it's actually vice versa. The strive to satisfy some quick desires and, searching for vivid impressions is actually decreasing in young people. For example, compared to statistics from 20 years ago, the rate of smoking or teenage pregnancy decreasing in young people. Myth 11. Modern teenagers are very pragmatic about education and they don't want to spend their time on something that will not be useful to them in the future. Sorry about that again, there is no enough data to claim that. No one knows for sure if this generation is more pragmatic than the previous ones. Well, though there is some evidence in favor of this statement, basically there is just no comparative studies to state this for sure. Myth 12. Generation Z differs both from contemporary people of all ages and from the teenagers from the other generations. No. Generation Z is just teenagers living in a modern world, and it is too early to jump to conclusions like that. Some of their features are common to teenagers in general rather than unique to Generation Z. Their individual characteristics are rather a response to the modern environment and are typical for both adults and the teenagers. Therefore, at the moment, it is too early to draw to some serious conclusions about generational specifics of these particular generation. Their behavior, attitudes, and values may be determined by the modern environment or age and may change over time. So what do you think about all these myths? Share your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel because we discuss education there. Thank you. There is the police. Wow, something's going on. It's Moscow, Yeah. You hear that? Right. Okay.